Bam! I have two bottles of Shinerbach with me right now that I'm about to crack into. This video will not be over until both of them are gone. Happy hump day, everybody. It's the ultimate hump day, actually. I have my special guest on the phone with me right now. Comedy mogul, show business guru, producer, my original mentor in the comedy game, Daryl Humphreys, the Hump himself, the original Hump.
Yeah, let me go get him. I'm sorry. Hang on. Oh, well, it's me. Hey, dog.
Hey, how are you, man?
I've been doing great. What are you doing except talking to 420, 420, 420, 420?
Well, I'm busy running Jer-Dog's Joke Factory, LLC.
Okay. Well, and I am representing, and boy, they don't know it. That's for damn sure. But I'm representing Shenanigans Comedy Shows. .com. That's .com. And I just got to get this plug in now, and eventually later, and then later on that. We always need actors. We always need help, Jeremy. You're in that damn business. You picked the damnedest business to be in, first of all. That's one thing I want to get on your ass about.
Yeah, I know. If I had known it was going to be this hard from the beginning, I probably never would have even auditioned for Shenanigans Comedy Wild West show in 1994. If you had known how hard show business was going to be, would you have ever got started in it to begin with?
Well, the reason I got into it is because I didn't know what it was.
That's what I'm saying.
I went out and auditioned for the gunfight show at Six Flags in '79. Got the part. That was pretty weird. And then I did it for a year, and it was blood and guts and hanging people, and it was just. It was horrific. And then I think one day, I forget why, I put a banana in my holster instead of a gun. And that seemed to tickle the crowd. And I thought, no, wait a minute, what was that sound? And it was, it's laughter.
Right.
So with that, I like laughter. So also for all you folks out there, laughter is a cheap way out. I just want all of you boys and girls to know that you're cheating, because laughter is the easiest way out. Now, what I mean by that is you get instant results, and you know where you're headed.
Exactly.
Your audience is your director.
Immediate feedback.
Immediate. And then your audience will be your director for you if you'll let it. Now, you still have to hone the craft, dog. We got to hone the craft. Because when we found you, you needed some honing.
That's so, for everybody just now joining in, Humpy, as soon as we started this video, right off the bat, we had a whole lot of people join in. So let me give you a proper introduction. This is the first man to ever write me a check in show business. This is the first guy to ever actually pay me for being funny. Either that, or it was because I was the only 19-year-old kid in Iowa who was willing to wear a top hat, roller skates, and do a juggling and magic routine. Listen, man, this is why I wanted to bring you on. I love your comedy philosophy, and I love your show business instinct. And in a lot of ways, it is what influenced me into going into show production, where you have the portable Wild West town. I essentially created the portable comedy club. I took it out of the strip malls and into small town nightclubs, taverns, and neighborhood bars. They're starved for entertainment, and they really freaking love it. And that is in part due to the influence I got from you creating self-contained productions. So
that's the damnedest thing, because I would have swore you didn't learn shit. If you'll remember, God bless his soul, Jack Krantz that owned Adventureland.
Yep.
I never will forget, we had to build the buildings and all that stuff. It was a long, long production deal, and we were also proud and got lined up. Show kicked off, first show, second show, didn't see Jack, third show. He was in a wheelchair, I believe, at the time. And I finally found him, and I said, "Hey, Jack, what do you think about the show, man?" He went, "Oh, I don't particularly care for it, but the audience loves it."
Yep.
And there you have it. And that's what you got to remember to stick to. And I want to back you up a little bit, too. You were right on the second deal. I did not hire you because you were funny. You were the only idiot that would wear a top hat with skates on. So I want to clear that up.
Well, that's exactly what I thought. And, I rolled in and I was totally full of myself. I was the cock of the walk, because I was the crazy, funny jackass at the fraternity in college. But I'll tell you, man, when you go into doing professional comedy, at least the way you were doing it at that time, you're learning on the streets. You learn by doing, and you didn't hold back, man. When I got out of like academic theater in college or community theater, they always did the thing where they give you a compliment and then they tell you what you did wrong. I remember that first show out. I'm like, "So what did you think?" You're like, "Well, that sucked."
Yeah, well, it did.
Like, holy, this guy's an asshole. What the hell? I'll say I spent every day that summer seriously questioning my future because I had no other skills. I'm like, this is supposed to be what I'm good at. This is supposed to be my dream job. Holy shit, this stuff is fucking tough.
Well, maybe you should have spent one more summer thinking about it. Excellent point. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the community theater and the drama degrees. We get people, dog, they come in with a full, over and over and over these papers, all these things they did in college, and you hand them a hammer, and they hammer with the rubber end. And they don't know anything about building sets. Basically, when we get new people in, even with the degree, we have to reteach them everything. And that's sometimes when we go, "Well, what have you been doing?" "Oh, I've been doing this little act down at the as a clown." "Okay, well, that's a start. Okay, we got you." But when they come in showing off their degrees, we go, "Well, we're going to have to teach them from the beginning." And that is, oh, by the way, we're always hiring at shenaniganscomedyshows.com.
And there's the plug again. I love it, man.
I think, Dog, you worked with us this summer twice or once?
Yeah, we were out there in Davenport, Iowa at the Mississippi Valley Fair. And I like doing the show because it takes me back to my roots, man. It's exactly what you're talking about. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, and they don't really teach you what you need to know in order to get the job done, because you're not up there making your friends laugh. It's easy to be the drunk guy at the party and make your friends laugh. When I was in high school and college, everybody was funny, but that's because we're all friends.
Now you're on to me.
What's that?
I said, now you're on to me. I've been drunk every show I've done.
Yeah, and when you got to get up there and make strangers laugh, there's definitely fundamentals you got to follow. And that's something that I never thought about until you and Ron and Ed and guys like that. It takes me back to the fundamentals. When I did the show last summer at the Mississippi Valley Fair in Davenport, I got to go back to the fundamentals of doing comedy clean. It's got to be family friendly.
What are you talking about as fundamentals, dog? What do you mean by that?
Like not putting in extra words in the joke. Even today when I go on the road and I'm working with quote-unquote professional comedians, guys that have been on the road, they've got some chops, they have a lot of stage time. One of the things that I've noticed, they've got too many goddamn words in their jokes.
Yes, don't add stuff that already works. Why? I guess people are trying to make it individual for them. But we're losing the whole audience when you say, well, it was just another word. You don't add any words ever.
Right. And don't even change a comma.
I'm sorry?
I said don't even change a comma.
Exactly. And when you do, It throws everybody else off because, you know, I don't believe in rehearsing. You know that. I've never rehearsed. There's no need to rehearse.
No need to rehearse.
Just know your lines, know where you're supposed to be standing, and then rehearse.
Exactly. And that's another fundamental, I think, is the over rehearsing thing that gets missed in academic or community theater.
Yep.
They rehearse for 6-8 weeks at a time, and then they just do a 2-weekend production. They do 4 shows after 8 weeks of rehearsal. I like it the other way around. I like it where you just sort of talk about what you're going to do. You learn your lines. You know where you're supposed to be. And then you get out there and tweak it over the course of 500 shows over summertime.
Over 38 years.
Over 38
yeah, you're
years.
right. And I'm teasing about the rehearsing part. I always like to throw that in for all my fans.
You got a lot watching today, too.
Back to that point you made about community theater.
Yeah.
It's so sad to us sometimes, dog, when we get these people like you people you work with that's used to laughter, used to comedy, used to sitting up, stuff like that. And I go, yeah, I'm really interested, but I'm going to this community theater to do. We're doing Camelot for 4 nights. And we're going, yeah, but here's money to go play. Here's money. Well, how much you making in community theater? I think they pay us like $10 a week for gas.
Right.
Well, what are you doing? You're going to learn more with us, and it also pays. And that comes in handy on the day.
And it also pays. That is definitely key. You know, if it doesn't pay, then you got to go spend your 8 hours a day or whatever to make a paycheck to pay your bills, and you got to go do something like wait tables or work at Pizza Hut or Taco Bell or sack groceries or pump gas when you could be spending that same 8 to 10 hours a day learning your shit.
And it's maybe even sitting in the hole. That's what we call wrestling ring, folks. Sitting in the hole, maybe learning your lines for the next show.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's one of the struggles that these kiddos have, or that's what we're finding with new kiddos we get. They're very interested. The one thing about you, dog, I'm going to go back to you at the beginning. Was your first show the Dan show or not?
No, it was the Doc Snooker Magic Snake Oil Elixir.
Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker.
Okay.
The Rainmaker and then roller skating around in between the Wild West shows for Streetmosphere.
Okay, yeah, you were kind of up there on the hill. Well, the thing about that was, though, Jeremy, is you were always willing to make it better. Even though you were a F-up, and I mean, seriously, but then you would argue over you putting those cuffs on in comedy. I said, comedy's not cuffs. But
right.
You were always willing to listen and try, and that's why you became a success, for crying out loud, doing comedy. Ain't that something?
Ain't that something, man? I mean, who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
That shit-talking jackass like me would be doing his very own Facebook live video every day at 4:20 p.m. and selling out clubs and nightclubs, bars, taverns. Again, all of that is the self-promotional shit that I learned. You know, a lot of that's the Doc Snooker stuff, the Doc Snooker salesman stuff. That's the other thing, man. The first year of doing the show, I not only learned the ins and outs and the fundamentals of comedy, which of course needed to be practiced over the next 10 years, but I also learned a little bit of the salesmanship from the fact that I did that Doc Snooker show, because that's all about salesmanship. You know? Yeah.
And also, too, that spot you had up there, dog, wasn't the best spot in the world, but you did a damn good job of, once you caught in on what we were doing, of getting them up there. Come on, people, we're fixing to do something funny over here. Come on.
That's right. You got to gather the crowd. You got to, if there's not an audience, there ain't no show. You know, that's why it's called show business. No business, no show. And even if that business just means getting the people that are milling about in line for the roller coaster, you got to get them over there. You got to get them into it. You got to freaking grab their attention right off the bat and leave no stone unturned in order to keep them captivated for the 10 or 15 or 20 minutes or however long the show goes. And you got to do all that with the freaking roller coaster going off next door and the cotton candy salesman and everything else.
And the train.
So it's boot camp. When I was doing that show, it was like boot camp. Just like when I go into these nightclubs, taverns, and neighborhood bars, some people are there to play pool, play darts. I got to get them to turn off all that shit and pay attention to the jer-dog Comedy Roadshow.
That's right.
I wouldn't have that skill if I hadn't been doing
when you walk into a place and you see there's a speaker going on, you got to go take care of that speaker, ask somebody to cut it off, then you hurt somebody's feelings because it's their speaker. You go, Christ almighty, man, we're doing a show here.
It's a whole diplomatic thing. And you also have to have seen everything before. So that way, when things don't go off according to the plan, which is almost every day, you have to be ready and willing to ad-lib and improvise.
Here's something for fun. Terry Don Reinsinger, he's an old Six Flags guy. Of course, I keep up with all those old guys, and he's retiring. He was always in charge of the pink things back in the day, and he retired and wrote this very nice little thing on Facebook. Terry Don Reinsinger, he's a hell of a guy, and the last sentence was, "Wow, what a ride it's been! I get to go work where people come to have fun."
Yeah, for sure, man. That's a good.
I don't know how you put it any better than that.
If you could go back in time and revisit with the Daryl Humphreys that pulled the banana out of the holster and decided to start the whole shenanigans phenomenon and your own comedy production company, and you know everything that you know now, what would you go back in time and tell that kid?
Don't do it.
What would you do instead, man? If you weren't doing the Wild West show for the last 40 years?
I would have invested in Macintosh.
Brilliant.
Not Kevin McIntosh. I'd have probably wound up doing the same thing because apparently it was whistling at me, and I just said, "Okay, what's over here?" I was the air conditioning guy. I don't want to go through all that Hannity crap, but
yeah.
I did a lot of stuff, as we all have, and then there's just something about the calling of comedy, and that's, I've told Ron Cameron for years, my partner, my lifelong partner, this company wouldn't be what it was today without that idiot. But I'm telling, he knew which end of the nail to hit on, and I didn't. I would go back probably and maybe even put in a class or gone to more theatrical plays. But at that time, I was too busy trying to invent my own self.
Yeah.
And that winds up taking a lot of time, dog, if you hadn't noticed.
Yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
man.
You're just running one guy. Not counting the people you have to go talk to at the front door, set up your own thing and all that. But try to put 5 people to work and do all the amusement parks Six Flags had to offer. Then plus do these that traveling set we have, which, by the way, folks, you can see on shenaniganscomedyshows.com. That's a beautiful set. And we put that in a trailer, dog, and we get in that dually, and we head down the pike, and there's a bare spot on the ground, and all of a sudden there's a set, and then these guys are acting stupid in front of it. And it's basically a small miracle. It really is. So I don't know if I'd go back. I don't think I'd trade. I wish I could have well, probably I'd learn how to read. Learn how to talk right, stuff like that that's important in life. I'd have read most of the contracts where I just mostly just filed them. Didn't know if they had an autograph on them or not. I don't know. But I just couldn't trade it. I've thought about that before and thought about it. I just couldn't. All of the memories I've got of stuff behind the scenes, jer-dog.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't trade that for anything, man. And that's why I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I don't know whoever's listening, your other folks that are trying it. You know, I hate this cliche. But you just keep trying. And if you really love it, there's going to be some wrecks in the ditch. Because I will say this, man, and I truly believe this, dog. You're either born with it or you're not. You can't teach it. You can hone it. You can accelerate it. You can give it, I'm calling it, boys, girls, or whatever you want to be, and make it work. But if you don't have it, if you don't have what I like to call the Burt Reynolds Factor.
The X factor, that intangible
I hate
quality.
that cliche.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it, you don't have it. And, man, people don't believe that. I know they don't. But I felt like that I came across it in the street. I thought I had it a little bit. And the sillier I made the shows, the hardcore shooting guns up. They used to hang people at Six Flags, by the way, on an hourly basis. They had a harness. And people were just going, okay, well, there's blood and a hanging guy. I don't know if my child's really that interested. But if you throw a bucket of rubber chickens out there, they're interested.
Yeah. This, that's what gets everybody's attention. Even the adults like that stuff. It brings. That's why they're at Six Flags to begin with, to go back to revisit their childhood a little bit.
Yes, and I can always remember going by the courthouse as a kid and seeing those thugs sitting up there on that porch. And they all smelled like rotten eggs because of the gunpowder we used back then.
Yep.
And just actually making a swerve away from them because, ooh, scary. Ooh, daddy. Ooh. And they only knew they were a bunch of silly men.
Yeah, just a bunch of goofballs.
Just a bunch of goofballs.
And
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I didn't have anything.
Well, for you to recognize that you're in your early 20s, I just think is really, really cool. And you did something about it. You didn't just sit around and go, it should be like this, and then just talk. You actually went and did something about it. You made the vision happen. You saw that people like comedy, and you decided to give them the Comedy Wild West show, which probably threw everybody completely off, considering they're so used to seeing the blood and guts and the hangings and the shoot 'em ups.
Without a doubt. And Jeremy, the guy, David Kennard, I said, who do you go see about this show? Who do you go see? David Kennard. So I found David Kennard, bugged him. I can remember when I swear I stood every time I talked to him. And David would turn around and go, look, man, there's a line of people wanting to do this show. Of course, I'm 21. I still hadn't learned how to listen, but definitely at 21, I didn't know shit.
Yep.
Can't do it. A lot of people in front of you. Can't do it. It's the biggest show we've got. It's most important. So finally, I broke him down. He got a contract from his desk. I met him in his house. We looked it over, signed one. I got my Kiki, who was my mentor. He was a millionaire selling government parts. I said, can you come flash your gold watch at this meeting? Literally is what I needed him for. So we went to go see Errol McCoy, sit at this long desk. It was all polished and everything. And Mike said, well, what's going on? Here's what we want to do. Da, da, da. Never heard another word from him since. This was in 79. He's down in Kerrville. But the point was that little golden watch to management gave them the idea that I might be able to do it even though I was a punk.
Right.
So you do have to have some tricks up your sleeves and crap like that I don't necessarily believe in, but guess what? It happens.
Well, and that is.
And then,
yep, that's what you need.
After I got a hold of it, then I turned it completely silly. The audience started buying into it. like I said, I talked to Ron about it one time about drama and comedy, and he said, well, drama can be that way too. You know, if you do a play that's dramatic or a movie, drama also eats at you and all that. And I went, yeah, but hell, they're not telling you whether it's good or not. He said, no, you can tell if you're in a play whether you're getting through to them or not. And I went, yeah, but I can't tell because they're not laughing.
Yep.
So you'll never be able to convince me the truth, probably, that I think comedy is harder. I've heard harder than drama, depending on who you're talking to.
It's harder to pull off, but it's easier. I would say on average, it's harder to pull off for most performers because of exactly what we were talking about earlier. You have to know the fundamentals, and you have to have the Burt Reynolds X factor in order to reach the crowd. Compared to drama, where a lot of that, you're just tugging on their emotions and their heartstrings. They're two different skills. But I would say comedy is harder overall for most people to get it and deliver it. But for those who do have the Burt Reynolds X factor, it's actually more of our comfort zone because of exactly what you said. You get the instant feedback, the instant approval. When you do drama, you have to wait till later on the reviews come out.
Yeah, that when you shake hands back in backstage, you kiss on everybody and lollygag around. Yeah. And that's one thing I wanted to also bring up about that. Comedy is also something that really fulfills you, in my opinion, not only instantly, but you think about, where is my picture? All the times that I've had pictures taken myself for 38 years, well, we're all over the world on somebody's fireplace.
Yep.
And when you get to that many people, I mean, thousands of people at a time, and they're all giggling, that stuff spreads, brother. I mean, we can go have a hammer down show, and they leave, and all you see is cupcakes, Coca-Cola cans where everybody's got some tickle. They just out and out drop their drink. And it's true. It is true. You can make it happen that way. And is it hard? Sure, absolutely. It's unbelievably hard. But boy, the payoff is so much fun. It's like getting a birthday cake at their show.
I agree, man. I agree. And I wouldn't be where I am today had I not been that I was 19 and I was the guy who was pestering Steve Anderson at Adventureland over and over and over again. How do I get in the show? How do I get in the show? How do I get in the show? And then I remember that day he came up, well, I think we can use you, Jeremy. John Donovan says, Daryl, thanks for the opportunity that you gave all of us.
Thank you, John.
And that is another really cool thing about Shenanigans is there's a brotherhood of guys across the country that even if you've never met before, you can throw them into a show together and at least you have a common language. You know gags that you can do together and then get out there and perform and have a freaking blast doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
And as long as you stay by the guidelines, it's okay to do something different. We've done it a million times, and then we go backstage and say, okay, that was a good gag. Now, how do we hone that? Well, we could do that. I mean, we've actually done stuff out, as you know, out in front of the crowd, and then gone back there and go, okay, we got some there. How do we hone it down? What do we do? And Mike Walker, who's in charge of hiring all you idiots, he has a talent like no man I've ever heard of. How does he hire that many idiots at one time? I think you and John and Mike Lee and several others is the reason I just had to retire. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I can imagine, man, because it's all what comes with that Burt Reynolds X Factor is also a whole lot of other fucked up shit. A whole lot of baggage.
Yes. And that's the thing. Sometimes I think, now I don't know a whole lot about stand-up. I've thought about doing it, but I know with you and Mike Lee, I think is who I know doing stand-up. I hope I'm not missing anybody. But I see how hard it is, and I know for a fact that you can almost feel the vibe when you're getting out of your car, I swear to God.
What do you mean?
About how your crowd's going to be.
Yes.
When you roll in there, start seeing them roll in there, you can kind of, if you hone it real well, you can kind of feel the vibe of what's going on. And of course, the better the vibe, the better the show. It just eats its own tail.
That's exactly right. You tap into the collective consciousness. You tap into the collective consciousness of the crowd.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And that's
finally came up with something.
Ron says, when are y'all going to start this thing?
Well, I'm Harold Humphreys. I'm talking to Jeremy Danley, a friend of mine. And by the way, go to shenaniganscomedyshow.com. I guess Ron's trying to run us off, but F him.
I agree. And Mad Mike wanted me to ask you about Hoot Bung.
Oh, Hoot Bung. That was another character I went through years ago where Bodie, God rest his soul, he called me Hoot, H-O-O-T. And then eventually somebody said bung. A bung is the wooden thing you put in a barrel of whiskey. You tap that in at the end, and that's called a bung. And I like whiskey. So it just started becoming Hoot Bung. And that was during the old Ernie Mashburn days back when we were doing St. Louis Six Flags over Mid-America. That's where that came from. Thank you for that, Mad Mike.
And all right, that's Hoot Bung.
So
Hoot Bung.
Yeah, I have to go through several characters, kind of like James Bond when you're on the trail of something. See, so you can never tell who you're talking to. What?
No, yeah, I remember having many late night drunken conversations with Inspector Clouseau.
Oh, yeah, he's a hell of a guy. But, yeah, doing what you love to do like that is really kind of a mini miracle. I mean, it's and when I started hearing you ruffling around doing stuff, I'm going, no. Because, you know, me and you went through a mad period like every good artist. Remember John and Paul? Let's don't get all excited.
Right.
And we came back around, but I heard that's what you were up to. And I went, well, okay, we'll see. And then 5 years crept by, and then 5 years. And then I found out what you're into, man. There's a congratulations owed to you, too, dog.
Well, thanks, man.
You're sticking with it, G. Sticking with it, man.
What else am I going to do? Sat groceries, pump gas. A lot of people told me when my kid was born, oh, now it's time for you to go get a real job. But I'm like, well, what signal's that going to send? That just because you were born made me decide to give up on my dreams? What's the better message? Figured out how to make your dreams happen. Now I know how to do it, and I can pass that shit along to him.
I got a message. Please don't anybody give jer-dog a gas pump. Please, people, please, I beg of you.
I agree. Do not give me a gas pump. Hey, let's wrap it up there. What do you say, man? I'm out of Shiner Box,
bro.
But I definitely want to have you back on again. I want to go more deep into comedy philosophy because that's what we do on these daily live video blogs, the 420 Report. I talk about traveling the country. I know you've done a lot of that, man. What's your favorite place? What's your favorite place you've been to doing the show? Iowa.
When they finally put us under the trees up there, it was like working in air conditioning, even though it was 90.
Yeah.
Which is something else we'll talk next time is about air conditioning, because there you are getting to be funny where there's air conditions, and then there you go to a fair and you've done it and it's 110. So let's put on some more leather.
Right. Let's wear 16 pounds of guns and fake bullets and bandoleros and riding cuffs and boots and spurs. But I was actually talking to Karen about that when we went to the Iowa State Fair to see the Dan show last month, and I'm walking around in regular street clothes. I got sunburned. I got crotch rot. It was way more uncomfortable just being in regular street clothes than it is being in the cowboy clothes. And then I thought, well, no shit. This is why cowboys actually dress like that. That's why they had the wide brims.
No. It's because you're a pussy and you got used to air conditioning flapping your mouth off. That's what happened to that.
Yeah, but I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable in the gunfight gear. I'm more comfortable in the gunfight gear. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, you're correct. Be sure and go to shenaniganscomedyshows.com, and I'll always be here on mine anytime I'm invited by the dog. And next time will be more inspirational, and I'll sing a couple of Dean Martin songs.
That was awesome, man. Thanks a lot. Daryl Humphreys, everybody. Shenanigans show producer, creator.
Yeah. All right, dog. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. You bet.
That was awesome. That was so fun. My very first mentor in the comedy game. Like we talked about during this live video, you got to stick to the fundamentals. You can't do shit like add extra words into the joke or change the words around and then it means something completely different. You know, you got to be able to go out there and immediately grab people's attention, not pussyfoot around on stage, milling about with your drink in your hand. You know, sometimes I'm known to do that. But when I get on stage to do stand-up comedy, a lot of times when I realize that I'm losing the audience, I just got to go back to the fundamentals, the stuff that I learned on the streets in 100-degree weather, dressed up in cowboy gear, 16 pounds of leather covering your entire body. You're sweating your ass off. People are walking away. They're coming up to the show. You got to keep their engagement. You got to keep their attention. And then you got to leave them wanting more. That's something we didn't get to on this video, but I definitely want to bring Daryl back on a future video to talk about how to leave them wanting more and to talk about how to balance comedy and business. That's also a big challenge. You know, there's a lot of guys, they're super talented. They're really, really, really super good comedians. They're really hilarious performers, but they just can't fucking get their shit together enough in order to make a living at it, in order to bring in an income. They could if they really wanted to, but there's just some sort of disconnect there when you're going to be a creative artist type and you're known for being the clown and the jackass and getting laughs and then having to completely switch gears into doing the stuff that actually gets the gigs and puts butts in seats. Two completely different deals. And the guy that has that X factor is probably a fucking juggernaut. And so, again, I want to have Daryl on sometime to discuss the balance between comedy and business. And thanks so much for being here today. If you stuck with this entire video all the way through on the replay, coming up this weekend, Nathan Allen, the Maniac of Magic, at the Junkyard Bar and Grill, talking about doing business. We got to put butts in seats this weekend. The Junkyard Bar and Grill, Barnum, Iowa. We'll have Nathan Tricky Allen, the Maniac of Magic, doing his one-man show. That's this Saturday, September 8th. And is that right? September 8th? Did I get that right? Yeah, September 8th, this Saturday. This Friday night, I'll be in Mandan, North Dakota at the Baymont Inn and Suites. I'm pretty sure that they've got a lounge or a club or something down in the lobby area where I'll actually be performing. Hopefully it's not going to be in the fitness center or the pool area or the breakfast nook, but I wouldn't freaking be surprised if it was. And if it is, so what? I'll just have to adapt and improvise, just like we talked about, just how I learned doing my 5,000 gunfight shows over the course of 10 years. And then this Saturday night, September 8th, I'll be in Fort St. Pierre, South Dakota at T's Tavern. Whew. And then also this Friday night in Crystal, Michigan, September 7th, this Friday night, Katrina Brown, the Uptown Bar and Grill, Crystal, Michigan, the town where they figured out how to evade the drunk driving laws. Everybody just takes a golf cart to the bar. Uptown Bar and Grill. Shout out to Darlene and Amy Lynn and everybody there. They will treat you right. The mutant queen of comedy, Katrina Brown, will blow the fucking doors off the place. Shout out to everybody who watched today. Corey, good to see you, man. Checking in from Polk's Pub in Portage. And Joel is here. Josh Bruton, Jessica, crotch rot. We'll talk about crotch rot on a future video. Dan and Pete, Phil, Cooper from the great state of Florida, the Sunshine State, man. Good to see you. Nadia and Jake and Matt and Teresa Doug, Mike Lee, also checking in from Florida. Cheryl Braden, Bud Morizzi's here. Jessica, Aunt Pat, Darlene, Darlene Kermody from the Uptown Bar. Shout out to you, all you guys. Aunt Tammy, Andy, we got a lot of people on today. Steve Cypress is here, my current business mentor. Thank you, guys. That was a lot of fun. Good 420 report. I'll be back tomorrow at 4:20 p.m. or as close as possible. Hopefully, I will have another special guest on tomorrow. If not, I'll just be sitting here talking my shit into a laptop camera. I'll see you then, 4:20 p.m. or as close as possible. In the meantime, dog bless America.